Black Stars coach CK Akonnor and his two assistants have been shown the exit door by the GFA Executive Committee. A new committee have been set in place led by Vice President Mark Addo to find Ghana a new coach. But today on the Friday's debate right here on Ghana Web TV, we ask if CK Akonnor sacking is the sole solution to the problems in the Black Stars. We table this for discussion here on the show. My name is Joel Leshen. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we delve into the discussion with my guest. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching the Friday's debate right here on Ghana Web TV. Today, we're asking if CK Akonnor's sacking is the sole solution to the problems in the Black Stars. To join me for the discussion today is Perez Ezwakwao from the Ghana Web Sports Desk, and joining us via Zoom is the host of Sports World on TV Africa on Saturday, Dennis Osei-Jemfi. Good morning, gentlemen, and thanks for joining me here on Ghana Web TV.
Good morning, Joe, and thanks for having us on your show.
Hey, good morning, Joe. How are you doing?
All right, so I'll start with you. Sina Dennis, that's the name we normally call him. Last week, we spoke about the problems in the Black Stars. If CK Akonnor's project is a collapse one, we discussed this into details. You gave your verdict as far as the job of CK Akonnor is concerned. How did you feel after you heard the announcement on Monday?
Well, Joe, once again, let me say a very big good morning to you and your viewers. Well, like we talked about last week, it was forthcoming. I mean, this is one news that for me, it's not surprising at all because this is what we wanted. I think that CK shot himself in the foot and he called for this. It will only delay because of issues relating to, the government. The government really wanted him to stay, and so it made the effort to really send him packing. But at the end of the day, we see CK going, and I think that for what he did for 10 games, he won 4, lost 4, and due to it wasn't the performance that could guarantee CK or save CK's job, and I think that. It's fair to say that we needed to part ways with surprise, particularly. I've won the Akon only with local coaches. So from here we move on to. I think that for what CK came to do and for the last two Nigeria appointments with the Black Star that has been, with local coaches. Now, I'm disappointed to say, but I think that. We have to move on. The conversation will no longer be about local coaches because when you look around, I'm not so sure who really fits the profile to become the next Black Star coach from the local one. But from my initial comment, I think that it's something that for me, it's not surprising to me. It was expected, it was forthcoming, but it was only a matter of when and how it was going to go. So CK paid his dues, but I think, like I said last week, maybe he needs to go and come back some other time when he has learned and he is primed for the job. But for now, he wasn't just fit because of the manipulation that was going on. He couldn't be a man on his own. The issue of captain, the day are you, issuing strong language to him after he was substituted in the South African game spoke volume of how CK's journey with the Black Stars had turned short. And I think that he really is a man for the future. But for now and for what we are looking for, he wasn't the man to rescue that promised land.
All right, he's a man for the future. That's Dennis. Let me come to you, Ezwa. On Monday, I think when the story broke out, you sent it to me. You sent it to me first when the news came out. How do you feel after hearing that CK has been shown the exit door?
I think I was in class when someone sent me the GFA link that, is it true? That I should confirm if indeed Akonnor has been fired. And I wasn't surprising because, from, I think, Friday, there were reports that the GFA were considering, there were strong reports from the ministry that there were talks between the minister and the GFA over a decision to ask Akonnor. So it wasn't shocking, but I think Dennis has dealt with an aspect of the reasons that resulted in Akonnor sacking, which is the performance.
Okay, well,
10
we'll
matches.
go into the reasons.
10 matches, 4 defeats, 4 wins, 2 draws. It doesn't give a good sign, especially looking at the players we have and looking at where we want to go. If you need a coach, if you're a coach of these Black Stars, we deserve better. And especially looking at the opponents we've been facing, we should be perhaps talking more victories than we've done under Akonnor. So that's the other angle of the story. The other aspect, which for me is the most crucial reason why the FA decided to crack the whip on Akonnor, is that I haven't seen Akonnor's Black Stars.
What do you mean you haven't seen Akonnor's Black Stars?
So in the 10 games that I've watched, I haven't seen a team that has the imprint or that has the handwriting of a coach. So you just see 11 players on the pitch doing whatever they want to do. In the game against South Africa, we switched to 4-3-3, so the normal 4-4-2. But throughout his 10 matches, he couldn't create any identity for his team. And that, for me, is the most important thing, because he took over a team that was going down. When you take over such a team, you need to revamp the squad, create an identity, build a team, and let us see. Once we see this team, we know this Akonnor's side. I've watched all the 10 games. I don't think I saw Sika Akonnor's Black Stars. And that, for me, was the biggest worry, because if you want to plan for the future, you need to get a basis. And the basis for the coach to implement his ideas in the first 5 games, the first 3 or 4 games. Then from there, you build on it. Then you know that, okay, if the Black Stars are playing, you can sit back and say, okay, I know they are going to play 4-3-1. I know it's going to be that wing play. I know they are going to play through the middle. None of that happened under Akonnor. I don't think, since in Akonnor's 10 game, I saw the Black Stars scored a goal that I would say, this is straight from the training ground. I didn't see that. And that, for me, was my biggest worry. That's why even when they were chalking victories, I still felt he wasn't good enough.
Okay, now to this, let me ask you a quick one before we talk about the issues in the team. He promised Ghanaians that we are going to see Agro football. He used the 1978 AFCON winning side, which had Mohamed Polo and Golden Boy Abdul Razak, that Ghanaians are going to see the same style of play again. Do you think that's also one of the reasons why he was so unpopular on the street?
The question is, what's Agro football? 1978 was over 4 decades. You and I weren't even born. What kind of football was being played and what has changed? Ethiopia, perhaps back then, were not a strong force. They are now a big nation. If you're coming to talk about the Black, I hear Ghanaian coaches say Agro. What's Agro football? I don't understand it.
Agro football, perhaps, is to possess that. In the Spanish term, they call them tiki-taka.
You know, the Agro football that they sold back then was that you get the ball, you juggle it, the Mohamed Polo,
you dribble.
Just like Kingston. The last time I think we saw a typical Agro football for the Black Stars was like Kingston in the 2008 World Cup. On the touchline, we'll be doing those flick and stuff. But this particular Black Stars team can't give you that, because you see, when you compare this team to the teams that we've had in previous years, the gap in terms of quality is huge. So when you take over this team, what you need to do is to put your tactics to the ground and ensure that the few strengths in the team are strengthened to the point that they overcome the weaknesses in the team. We have a very unbalanced team. We have a team where there are great players somewhere. There is the Dayu, who can notch you a few goals. There is Thomas Partey, who in the middle can do a good job. But on the left side of the defense, there's a problem. Somewhere, even in attack, we have a striking problem, because Jordan can't give you 2 goals out of 3 games. Yeah. So when you're a coach, you need to look at the strengths and weaknesses of these players and say, okay, I'm going to work on this strength, so that in case our weaknesses are exposed, the strengths makes up for that. So you can't just say you're coming to play. What is Agro? Agro, that's will be every day Agro.
Okay, now let me bring you in, Sinedeni. Can we make a case for CK Akonnor that maybe certain things prevented him from playing the Agro football that he promised Ghanaians when he was appointed to replace Coach Kwesi Appiah?
Well, I think that's, if I get that question right, CK himself set a standard for himself. Yeah. He promised Agro football, just like Perez tried to explain. And then what you give us is totally different from what we want the Ghanaian side to play. Now, he sets out to be defensively apt, but we end up being I mean, defensively disorganized in the games we've seen so far. And if you look at the opponents that he set up to play defensive game with, an opponent like Sudan, regardless of wherever you meet Sudan, an opponent like Ethiopia, regardless of wherever you meet Ethiopia, even in a game against Sao Tome away, you realize how compact we are at the back, how we try to our opponents on break. I mean, if you are playing some of these opponents, the men who are ranked beyond 100 in the FIFA ranking, you expect that Ghana will dominate possession, take lion's share of everything that counts on the field of play. Even when you don't get the scoreline that you deserve, you need to take dominion of them. You need to make a statement with them. But clearly, it has not been with that under CK. His best game so far for me, I would say, would be the game in Qatar. And I think that's the only game that we saw his imprint on the team. But quite apart from that, against Mali, it was a disaster. Against Ethiopia, you don't want to talk about it. Against Sudan, we create minimum chances in the game. This is a team. In fact, if you look at the kind of play, the Akonnor, as he wants to term it, that kind of possessive play where you dominate and dictate pace, they create chances. At least you're able to force your opponent into their own shell. But it doesn't happen with CK's side. All the time, they are found on the back foot, defending and trying to cut teams on the counter break. And then again, your attacking man, Jordan, you will not be the target man that you want him to be. So you realize that at some point, the players themselves were a bit or quite confused as a team with regard to what the coach really wanted them to play. Because if you want to cut teams on the break, for instance, you take Chelsea, for instance, you had to take Drogba, who will be the target man, who will try to soak the ball and draw. But you will want to come in and play, and therefore you don't have any target man up front. And I think that for what he promised, and I mean, again, let me make this point. He said that he was going to work with about 40 players in his first press conference. But how many players did he call up at the end of the day? Over 70 players or so. So this tells you that this man was a man who was quite confused. I wouldn't term the team as he was trying to build a team, because a chunk of the players, we know them already. So he was a bit confused as to who he will play and how he's going to put them into play. And consistently, the media were on his neck that people were making the call-outs for him. CK denied publicly that he was in charge. And clearly, now they sacrifice you. So CK should have been bold enough to tell us that he is in charge, to tell whoever is controlling affairs from within that he was in charge, so they should allow him to operate. And now they sacrifice you. And I think that maybe we will go there, but for the things he promised us, he failed almost a lot of them. And for the opponents he played, and for what we saw, minus in African continent or in footballing terms. But if you play against such opponents and they dominate you, they possess you, they create chances, they put you, you're made to sit on tantalus. These are not opponents who should scare Ghana at any point in time. You play Ethiopia, or you play South Africa, or you play Sudan. I mean, they shouldn't scare you at any point in time. But I think that, like I said, CK has got a lot more to learn, especially how to maintain discipline, how to control his charges, and how to be responsible in everything that he does. Because at the end of the day, people were just maneuvering things from within, and he was enough to stamp his authority. And that is why I think that left to him, there were some players we didn't call, there were some things we do, but a lot of things forcing assistant coach on him, Patrick Rivers, and a whole lot more. You know, these were not all, I mean, sinking well with the man who couldn't speak. And that's one about the local coaches. They are unable to speak and stamp authority.
Okay. Yeah. So now we've heard all these, the arguments about why he was sacked and all that. I'll take a quick break. When I come back, then we talk about the problems in the team. Can Ghanaians now say that CK is gone, so we are going to qualify for the World Cup and win the AFCON like the GFA told the president the last time these two parties met? You're still watching the Fridays debate right here on Ghana Web TV. We've been talking about the sacking of Black Stars coach CK Akonnor. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the issues in the team.
Hi, my name is Nanama McBrown. I'm proud to be part of Ghana Web Road Safety Campaign. Please do the right thing. Save a life. Brim.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching the Friday's debate right here on Ghana Web TV. We are asking if the sacking of Coach CK Akonnor ends the problems in the Ghana national team. Perez, let me start with you. Before I went for the break, I was asking if Ghanaians can now say that CK is gone. The problem is gone. So now Ghana can qualify to the World Cup and win the AFCON next year.
You know, such a question is based on the assumption that the biggest problem with the Black Stars was Akonnor.
So was he the biggest?
He was the problem.
But he was not the biggest.
I don't think he was the biggest. I think that there are a whole lot of factors that has landed us here. Okay. One of them, Dennis made mention of, where we heard rumors of certain persons within the FA and even outside the FA interfering or making mentions or as in dictating to him who he should pick.
Okay, and I have a question for you on that. Before the two friendly games we played against Ivory Coast and Morocco, I went for the press conference and we asked him if somebody was or an unseen fingers are manipulating his collar. He was a bit angry at the lady who asked him if he's sure that he's the man behind the collar. He stated that I am the man, I am the one calling the shot. Every player who comes in came because I wanted him to be there. So how can you make a case for him, somebody who has told the world that nobody interfered in my work?
Have you ever heard a Ghanaian coach concede to such things? No. And that's one of their biggest problems because they lack the courage to stand up to some of these things. And that's why I agree with Dennis when he says that for now, we should keep the local coaches off the Black Stars. Because you see, managing national team football entails a lot. You have to maneuver the politics within the FA. You have to maneuver the politics within agents. You have to maneuver politics among journalists, even among the players themselves. Certain advances will be made to you. You need to have a principle to say, I'm calling these players. If you ever force me to pick this, I'm stepping out. Okay. This is my team. I want to place this tactics. If you are the FA chairman and you think you can coach the team, but if you don't have those principles, if you don't have those things, and for you, people can just dictate to you. People can just maybe bring players from Gibraltar or wherever. We even have a player who said he was shocked to have earned a Black Stars collar. I mean, one of the most embarrassing as a coach, that's your integrity down the drain. I mean, to have a player say, I don't think I deserve the collar.
I was shocked.
No, that was something else. So, Akonnor, yes, shot himself at some point. I feel at some point when it was apparent that the unseen hands influences his decision, he should have been bold enough to say, either this stops or I walk out of the door. He didn't. So right. Now the blame is all on him. But I don't think, as I was saying earlier, that I don't think he's the problem. Those are the FA who are using their agents, who are using their players, who are using the Black Stars to market their players, need to stop. And that's important because we now have a team where that team is not 100% good. You can't compare this team to the team of 2006. But we have a set of players who can do a lot for us if we call the right players. So if you keep, pushing your players into the team and giving them space ahead of players who are qualified, you're going to have this kind of results because you won't have the likes of Michael Essien who can do the job for 3 people. So we'll overshadow the likes of Edwin Jima who did not merit any call-up in the team. You have a Thomas Partey who shows up and using the Black Stars to market their players. Need to stop. And that's important because we now have a team where that team is not 100% good. You can't compare this team to the team of 2006. But we have a set of players who can do a lot for us if we call the right players. So if you keep, pushing your players into the team and giving them space ahead of players who are qualified, you're going to have this kind of results because you won't have the likes of Michael Essien who can do the job for 3 people. So we'll overshadow the likes of Edwin Jima who did not merit any call-up in the team. You have a Thomas Partey who shows up and plays the way he does, not like a Sule Muntari who gives 100% of the pitch on the pitch. So you are not having a strong team. What you need is that a set of very disciplined players, a set of competent players who are ready to do that for us. And once there are influences in the call-up, you won't achieve that. The next point for me is that we Ghanaians need to accept the fact that team na Akufo.
Okay, but how do Ghanaians accept the fact that we don't have a team when the managers of the national team, they keep telling us constantly that they went to the president to raise $25 million, and the message was crystal clear. If we get 25 million, we can win the AFCON. That's what I want to see, because the last time yes, then they said they are going to qualify to the semi-finals of the World Cup, which to me is a bit strange. But how do you reduce the expectations when we are supposed to give them 25 million? If we give you the money, we don't care how you do it.
Question is, do we have a team competent enough to win the AFCON? I think yes. If you look at the last 4 or 5 winners of the AFCON, by Algeria, all the others were not the best team in the tournament. Ivory Coast were not better than us when they won the cup. Zambia was not the best team. But what they did was they had a team, and that's, for me, is the biggest challenge with the Black Stars. They have a very good coach and a bunch of players who had a course, who said, okay, we are going there. It's time we do it. Zambians, for instance, were going to Gabon. They were fooled by the fact that some years ago, some Zambians lost their lives in there. So they were going to Gabon with a mindset that we are going to win it for our people. Ivory Coast went there. That was a squad that was fading out. So you had the likes of Yaya and a few others of the so-called golden generation that made up that team. They were fading out. The mindset was that we don't win it this time around, or we forget. So they went, you see, so we have a team, a set of players who go into a tournament and say, by hook or crook, we are doing this for our country. From the Black Star, have we seen that? We see the players say it. On the field, do they give us indications? Do they give us signs to think that, okay, we want to go for the Black Stars, we want to end the 40-year drought? Have we seen that? No. Do we have a GFA that looks like ready to support a coach who is ready to do it all by himself and achieve that for us? No. So when you look at all of that, you realize that all the factors that work in favor of teams that win the AFCON are against Ghana.
Okay.
And the worst thing is that we now don't have the best team, but we have a set of players who, with the right attitude, with the hunger, with the desire to say, Charlie Abre, Ghanaians have pumped money in us. Let's do it for them. If we go into a tournament with that mindset, and with a good coach, we have Pache who starts for us now. It's Arsenal, but we are better than some teams. You know, you have a Babarama who plays for Reading. Good enough. You have Ededayu, who, of course, has moved to the UAE, but cannot win a few goals for you. You have a Jordan who is starting consistently for Crystal Palace. There is Amati who comes in and does his bit for Leicester City. So there is Baba Sule who is consistent. So I don't think we don't have the golden team, but I think we have a team good enough to win there.
Okay, and let me come to you as Senior Dennis. CK is now gone, including his 2 assistant coaches. Can we now say that the problem in the team is gone? So now, if we get a competent coach like we've been crying about, we can now win the AFCON. Let's not talk about the World Cup, getting to the semi-finals, but we can now win the AFCON and qualify to the FIFA World Cup.
Well, I do believe that CK was a problem with the Black Stars, but I do not accept the fact that he was all our problems. He's gone with a chunk of it, because even his last incident with the captain, the computational issue where the guy you had to confront him for, substituting. I think that now that disbelief from all angles within Ghanaians, from the team, that's negative energy around CK. CK wasn't the man in charge, could not do the job, the player wasn't the best, the players didn't have confidence in him and all of that. That kind of energy is gone. So all those bad energy, negative energy is gone. And I think that is good for the team going forward. And you know, that new coach influence. Anytime there's a new coach, players will want to prove themselves and work a lot. But yes, but the fear for me is that in all of this, I think that the country are failing to look at the bigger picture. And all we are trying to do is look at the short-term solution. yes, the 25 million for the AFCON World Cup. So whoever is in charge or whoever comes next as the next coach of the Black Stars will have to target. But what's the long term? Now, one big problem CK faced was the quality of materials, the pool of players around.
No,
Even when to the point that even when
okay. Now we've been talking
Baba
about.
Rahman was not fit.
Okay, I want to ask you a question on this. Then you proceed. We've been talking about that we don't have a quality team. If you look at the Ethiopian team, the South African team, they don't have quality more than Ghana. So if you look at how we played, Ghana played an entire 90 minutes without a single shot on target nor a corner. So how can we say that we don't have a quality than a South African team that, all things being equal, if we had a coach like Hugo Bruce, maybe Ghana would have been able to beat South Africa. So can we make a case that we don't have quality because we are not competing as it stands now? We are not competing against the Algerians, the Senegalese, the Egyptians, the Moroccos. Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Sudan, South Africa.
Now, do you know how this team would have quality in our team? No, it's not about the names. It's about the playing time for our players. Now, check out with our players. Baba Rahman, when was the last time he played? There are you. For over 100 days, he had not played a competitive game, but you start and playing almost 90 minutes. Mubarak Wakasu, check with how many times he's played this season. And so these teams you are talking about wouldn't have, those fanciful players, but they have players who are consistent with their clubs, even if they were playing for local clubs. Our players, how many of them were consistent with their clubs? You wouldn't have that. And that level of position, they didn't have it. And so all of those were playing out against us. And like I was saying, I was making a point of Baba Rahman. Even when he's not in the best of shape, we still want to because he's Baba Rahman. And we will neglect other players. These are the things that has to change. Whoever is fit to play, he should be playing. Not those who have got connections in the team, who have got links in the team. That is what the next coach should be looking at. How he's able to imprint his signature on the team, how he's able to shape the team in his own mode and not when people are dictating for him. That is exactly what we want. A coach who will be strong enough to say no. Milovan Raiva, before we even got to him in 2010, look, Sule Muntari, he would not need him in his team for the World Cup. It took the then president, Christina Nketi, to beg on Sule's behalf to be accepted back into the team. That is the kind of coach we want. He should be able to look at the day you and tell him in the face that for what you did with me, I will sit you on the bench because we've got a lot of you out there. There are you out there. So that's the whole point. The coach has to be strong and maintain discipline with this team. And bring that hunger. In a side, this team lacks hunger. They are not ready to compete. We need a coach who will keep that in them. And I think that CK wasn't doing that. And whoever comes next should be a disciplinarian, like Head Renard, like Milo. That has been one of their secrets. They were just strict with their teams. You need that with a coach, a good coach as such.
Okay, we need that. Now, in wrapping up, we are far behind time. Let me come to your final words, then you chip in. Then, we've heard so many names for the vacant Black Stars coaching role. Who will you go for and who do you think is likely to be named as a replacement of CK Akonnor?
I'll go to the substantive question, but I kind of disagree with Dennis when he says that, the likes of Ethiopia, South Africa had players who were perhaps playing on consistent basis, and as such, our performance against them was okay. Shouldn't shock anyone. We have a team good enough to beat it. To throw,
Ethiopia,
yes, I love them. We have a team the team that played against South Africa. I think with the right coach, with the right tactics, should be good enough to beat that South African team. Because that team, South African team itself, what did they do on the day? If you beat that Ethiopia team and you score them one goal, and that goal had to come courtesy by a blunder, then I have a reason to say that no, we had a team. I agree when you say our team is not good enough, but I think we had a team more than good enough to basically run over the likes of Ethiopia and that. But to the main question, the rumors are that Miloba we are coming to drink Milo again. So
Milo, there is no Nyadio.
you know, I'm to be honest, I'm Milo biased because I say that, let's say from 2006, I think Milo is the only team that has taken over the Blasters where I've seen tactics.
Yeah.
Where whenever you saw the Black Stars play, you thought they were playing according to a certain plan.
Like a certain pattern.
So Prince Tego will tell you, 6 or 7 years after the 2010 World Cup that the coach deployed him on the right flank purposely because the coach knew he wasn't going to track back, but he was going to keep the right back at B. That tells you the kind of thinking that goes into it. So I'm kind of Milo biased. Is he the person we need now? I'm not too sure. To be honest, you have when he went to Cyprus.
Yeah, it was bad. He was sacked.
Since 2019, he's not been engaged. So you look at those things. But the question is, how many of our ex-coaches have been doing stuff? None of them. So it looks like they come here and they always do it. So you might want to, but comebacks don't always.
Ibrahim Tanko.
No Ghanaian coach for me currently should be given the blaster. They should stay off.
All right, let me come to you as Sina Dennis. You've heard what Ezra had to say that as it stands now, no Ghanaian coach should come near the Black Stars. We've heard a lot of names. Your final remarks, who do you think that is in the best position to coach this Black Stars team?
The net around a white for the local team. I don't see anyone who fits the profile for our next coach who can be straight with. Unfortunately, the one I would prefer, we cannot afford him. Renard. I don't think we can afford him. He's a man who has wanted this Ghana job for a long time, and this could have been a best opportunity for us to get. But for what he's doing with Saudi Arabia, he's stopping the Asian World Cup qualifiers from 14 games. He has 10 wins. Everything is going out well for him, and he's on a salary of $100,000. Ghana, I'm not sure we're ready to pay $100,000 for a coach. I mean, all of us will stand up against that in as much as we want to
demonstrate.
100,000.
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
100,000 is too much for us to pay. And so unfortunately, I think that for that reason, he is out of the equation. I would have preferred him. But for Milo, I'm a bit skeptical, and that is where I want to drag my feet, because I understand he's even closer than all the other names that have popped out. So you shouldn't be surprised if Milo Van Rajevac is named our next coach. He was with the team. He took us to the Akonnor 2010 final. He took us to the quarterfinals of the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, and that has been one. He has been one of Ghana's best performers. But the point is that the last time Milo coach was in 2019 when it was in Thailand. I mean, for all, all due respect, and he was sacked after he was defeated by India with the Thai team. And so from 2019 to now, he has not had any job as it stands. Okay. So when you talk of rustiness, it's a bit rusty. Again, you also mentioned about the second coming, and that is my point. Coaches that have come for the second time. Not so long ago, we had Kwesi coming for a second spell, and it was a disaster. We've had that with Bukaziza and Sam Dodu. Even with Ghana, there's been disaster with the second comings. And I mean, around the world, you don't want to go back to where you left a good name. You don't want to go back because there's a likelihood that the second coming could be disastrous. And I think that is my fear for Mulubai Rajaba. But quite apart from that, I think that for the names that we are fetching, I've heard Lucien Favre, and I think that if you can afford him, the former Dortmund coach, yes, he was with Dortmund, OJ and all of that. For me, from Renard, if you can afford Lucien Favre, I think that he will be the best man for the job.
All right, so he'll be the best man for the job if we can afford Lucien Favre. That's how we draw the curtains here on this episode of the Ghana Web Fridays debate right here on Ghana Web TV. This week, we are asking if the sacking of CK Akonnor ends the problems in the Black Stars. Can Ghanaians now say that if a new coach is appointed, we can win the AFCON and then qualify to the FIFA World Cup? Thank you very much, guys, for joining me here on the show. Perez Ezra Kwao is with the Ghana Web Sports Desk, and Dennis Osei Ajiman, the big man among us, host of Sports World on TV Africa on Saturday. Till we meet again, it's bye for now. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then comment under the video. Keep your head up, and let's meet next week.